We've got Magyars, Persians, Mapuche, Georgians. I don't know if that's how that's said. Tatars, Maya, Khmer, and Italians for Tomo. So some Archer Civ, some Cav Civ. All good civs, I would say. I don't know about the Mapuche, but the rest of them are good, so I'd assume that it would be weird if this was like a bad civ. Shu, Armenians, Burgundians, Berbers, Malians, Lithuanians, Gujarats, and Japanese for Tasty. Tasty has a lot of different civs that do a lot of different things, but if these players are high elo, I trust them more to execute different strategies. The lower elo someone is, the more I feel like we see a reliance on like one practice strategy, like I do. But the higher elo you go, minus maxi, people tend to be able to adapt to closed map, hybrid map, open map, things like that. Over here on the maps, we've got Boulder Forest to start, which is a map I haven't seen before. Shu is really early WoW. Tasty's Draft is much more cooking. I think Tasty's Draft is much more like, has plans for certain maps type of vibe. Whereas Tomo's is more like, let me get the civs that are good / that I think will do well here. But I like both of the drafts. Vietnamese and Chinese both getting sniped is interesting to me. We're gonna have Aftermath for Tomo, which is a pretty fun civ that I saw earlier for the first time with Maxi. It's got workshops on it. Then we got Crownwood, also saw that for the first time with Maxi, also pretty interesting. Has all the wood lines up on these elevated hills. And we got Higher Ground, I don't think I've seen this one. Outcrop, one I'm very familiar with, played on it, cast it many times. Probably, Outcrop might be one of my most cast maps because it was in TCC, and everybody picked it because it was the closest thing to Arabia that we had, so very familiar with this map. Ville de Silva, I saw for the first time earlier today on Maxi as well. And then Sunburn, a map I infamously lost to Dizzy on. A very aggressive map, a little more chaotic. So, minus the map I don't know, these two maps, I think we're going to have a good mix of early aggression and then like slightly earlier aggression, if that makes sense. It's going to be fun. Interested to see where each civ is on each map. I'm not going to speculate, though. We're going to just jump in to game one. Hey, good morning, Big Tasty Bacon. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you clearing up that you're Tasty the person, not the flavor. I think I could have inferred, but you never know. Super quickly, I'm gonna turn a bunch of sounds down for capture age. Okay, we should be chilling now. Oh, I did forget something. This whole time I was like, I'm forgetting something. I forgot to open age. That's the easiest thing to fix. Why do I feel like my camera is pointed at my chest? I feel like I can't sit up because I'm leaving the camera frame. Her favorite map? I'm excited for this. Tomo be tasty. Game 1 on Boulder Forest. Oh yeah, Sunburn is Dizzy's favorite map. That tracks. Especially considering how much she absolutely owned me on it. Alrighty. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game 1 of this Specialist Cup Final. We are on the Continental Map Pool in the General elo bracket. So we're looking for 1900 elo. Way higher elo than me, but we're going to see what the caster eye can see. Try and give them a bit of a bird's eye view so that they can determine what they could have done better in the future. But right now, the fate of the general bracket is being decided in front of our eyes. In the red, on the Georgians, we've got Tomo. And I don't know what the thing on top of the Z is, so I'm going to pronounce it like a normal Z. Ziznati is how I would say that with an American tongue. And on the flip side, we got Tasty, who I have been told is tasty in name only and is not for human consumption. And he is going to be playing the Shu. So, I'm not familiar with the Shu. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at their unique text while we watch the Dark Age here. We are dealing with food generating lumberjacks. Interesting. Archery range technologies at the archery range. Oh, sorry. Archer unit technologies are cheaper. Siege weapons and siege warships move faster. Okay. Interesting. And then we've got a bunch of unique units in the White Feather Guard, the War Chariot, and the Hero, Liu Bei. But we'll have to see if we get to that point in the game, because this looks like another one of those maps where a bunch of the map itself is sort of cut off from use. But unlike some of the other maps we've seen, there is sort of this wallable section in the middle that allows both players to potentially gain a bit of security. But we shall have to see if either of these players decide to go for early aggression. Now, neither of these civs are men-at-arms civs, but this doesn't really scream men-at-arms to me as a map. I definitely feel like we can expect archers with the Shu, since they are just so obviously an archer civ. And on the flip side, Georgians have the ability to pretty much go whatever they want in Feudal Age. But if we are expecting our opponent to go archers, we may go ahead, wall up, get out some skirms or something, and then go Castle Age so that we can use that super strong Georgian regeneration on mounted units with some knights, or even particularly Manaspa if we can get a castle down. Barracks going to be coming down for Tomo, so definitely some sort of aggression being thought about here. No barracks for Tasty yet, but we are getting loom, and we are on gold. Tasty going to be pushing in deer. Has Zomo been? Zomo has also been pushing in deer. Very nice. This is what we expect from high-rated players. Peak efficiency and good decision making. Scouting pretty comprehensive for Tomo. Same thing for Tasty. Neither player worried about the center yet. Neither player really worried about going forward to wall. Shu player Tasty here gonna click up first, but not by much. Tomo may be going a little bit early with the barracks, but I am interested to see, is this barracks gonna be for anything besides getting us a stable? And it is going to be men-at-arms, or at least militia, from Tomo. I was interested to see if we would see this, simply because it seems like, especially at the highest level of play, or higher levels of play, question for doubt, is that one opening or two? I think this is 2 openings, if that's what you mean, Otter. But if that's not what you mean, then I have no idea what you mean. But that's definitely 2, I would say, I guess 2 openings, unless you wall far enough back. You see? The Versandy set was hilarious. Okay, there's lore there. Feudal Age going to be in for Tasty. And Tasty is going to be looking for some archer pressure here. Oh, that's so unfortunate to think that there can only be one opening and just completely leaving the other one open. Oh my goodness. That would be rough. Men-at-Arms on the field for Tomo here. Loom is in. And it's going to be a faster time to hit the eco for Tomo. But the question is, are we going to actually find any damage? Because it's going to be good quick walls from Tasty. And Archer's already being produced. So the timing on this is negligible. Truly. Tomo gonna really need to find a way to extract value out of these units. As we see the Archer jump out behind the walls, ready to start chipping away at those men-at-arms. The Legend of Andy's Deer, I'm unfamiliar with that one. Also, I just got a notification that we hit that we hit 700 followers, but I didn't see someone follow. That's so pog. I don't know who followed or why it didn't show up, but thank you. Man-at-Arms not going to find any damage for Tomo. And I was kind of excited to see the quick pressure, but Tasty being good enough and knowing he's going to be on Archers. Just going to toss down those quick walls, get down a Blacksmith. Going to be looking to grab Fletching here. Vital Tech for any sort of Archer play. It's going to be Skirms, Men-at-Arms for Tomo, and all-in Archers for Tasty. I am intrigued. I feel like on maps like this in the past, we've definitely seen people come forward and wall pretty early. I'm surprised neither player has gone for that, but with the cracked terrain, it kind of makes sense. How many deer are there? I don't know. I think they're already gone. I'm uncertain if there are more deer. Or I don't understand the question order. Caster not checking the game deciding fact, shake my head. What do you mean? I don't... Andy claimed he lost because he had one deer less. That's John's. That's excuses. Skarm's out in full force for Tomo, and again, neither player are going to be able to find any sort of damage with their feudal military. It's just going to be full-on feudal fighting. Skarm's going to be getting in a couple of pot shots here. Fletching in for both players, and armor coming in for the Skirms. That is going to be super helpful, especially when all you have is Archers. And the Skirms are aptly going to clean up the Archers. Skirms in response from Tasty. And it may turn into a Skirm war very quickly. Tomo doing a good job of keeping all of this sort of on Tasty side of the map, keeping the pressure away from home. Never bringing that military all the way back, always keeping it sort of here in the opening. Gonna be looking to bust through this house. No arson for Tasty, but it's not necessarily necessary. Bit of a chop through on the right side of the wood line there for Tasty. But one thing I will say, Tasty having to commit less resources to units, specifically food, because of the Archer play. Gonna be able to click up to castle first here. Potentially. Gonna be taking out a house, trying to just find any amount of value from these men-at-arms. I'm honestly surprised Tomo hasn't swung around with the men-at-arms and skirms and tried to threaten the gold. Especially since Tasty obviously wants to eventually be back on Archers. And taking a look back at Tomo's base. Much less walled, much more open, more farms, no threats to behold. But Tasty gets castle clicked. And Tomo is not even halfway there. And that's going to be a significant advantage for Tasty here. If we can get the techs we need in early castle, maybe even, and call me crazy, I'd make like a stable in like 2 nights here in early castle. Just to help me clear up some of these skirms. But maybe I'm thinking too short term. It's going to be a skirm war on the woodline. Noville's truly in danger. Oh, well, I might have spoken too soon. Gonna be close. Horse collar clicked for Tomo. Losing that Ville is so unfortunate there. It's just a lack of being able to micro it back. And Castle is going to be in an entire minute and a half later for Tomo. So if Tasty can somehow get a technological engagement, clear up Tomo, and get the fighting in Tomo's base instead of in his own base, Tasty's going to be sitting pretty. It's all going to come down to timing and whether or not Tomo allows the engagement to be taken when he doesn't have upgrades and Tasty does. Tomo doing a good job of just constantly harassing with the skirms, not really thinking we're going to kill a Ville, but at the very least going to idle him. On 1900, people just make skirms. Yeah, I have to readjust to that mentality. Bodkin clicked immediately for Tasty. Makes sense. E-skirm way less important when you're in a skirm fight than Bodkin. If you're using your skirms against archers, you want E-skirm first. If you're using skirms against skirms, you want Bodkin first for the range and the attack. Correct me if I'm wrong, 1900s. Castle still 50 seconds away for Tomo as crossbow comes in for Tasty. And again, this is what I was talking about. Tasty really needs to find a timing attack or get some sort of technological fight here while he's got the upper hand. He's going to be looking to push back. The lack of thumb ring and ballistics is still going to make these Bodkin crossbow skirms pretty inaccurate. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 volleys that just completely whiffed. Bodkin E-skirm going to be coming in for Tomo, which is going to give them extra range, extra attack, and also extra HP, which is going to matter if this is a skirm war, especially since Tasty decided to invest into crossbow rather than E-skirm. I feel like if I'm Tasty, I back up as soon as I realize this isn't a good engagement for me, but maybe he thinks he can out micro, and E-skirm gonna come in first for Tomo, and it's going to be a better timing attack for Tomo because Tasty does not decide to back up and wait for E-skirm to come in. Did not realize we were losing the fight there. As soon as I miss 4 shots in a row, I'm just like, okay, time to regroup, rethink my life choices, get some more upgrades. Bloodlines and Knights on the field for the Georgian player, and that's a win for Tomo. I completely understand at this elo. It makes sense to me, specifically because Tasty has gotten completely sort of cleaned up here. Tomo's going to be on Knights, Georgian Knights nonetheless. And we aren't anywhere near having the techs or the units we need to contest, and Knights are just going to be able to run in, kill Vills, go out, regenerate. Not fun game. GG's on game 1 there. Let's go ahead and jump into game 2 after we look at the stats. 24 to 16 KD, really low kill game, but the kills that were gotten were literally game winning. 1 difference in army high. Way more res collected for Tomo. I'm really interested. Is that just Vil number? Oh wow, it's idle TC time. Interesting. I bet that made a much bigger effect than I thought, because I didn't even notice the fact that Tomo was that up in eco. Wowza. Is Tomo being that up in eco might also have been due to the earlier uptime of Tasty, whereas Tomo kept making bills. And Tasty may have also idled the TC to go up to Castle, which then put us in a worse eco situation, and we got wiped. So that could have also been part of the reasoning for the GG there. Wow. Y'all's lowest APM is higher than my max APM. I think my max APM is 21. Pulling up game 2. Ooh, interesting matchup here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game 2 of this Specialist Cup final. We are in the Continental map pool in the General Elo bracket. Tasty absolutely freaking out at their APM from the last game. Hey, Tasty, you're the one who's 1800. You tell me where you're getting all that APM from, huh? In the red, on the Italians, we got Tomo. In the pink-purple, on the Tasty, we've got the Armenians. Actually, flip that. And this is an interesting matchup. Honestly, I don't dislike it. I think that, in my opinion, the longsword strat could be strong on this map, especially if you can pressure from both sides. But also, archers are good on this map too. This is also a map where laming is typically something that happens, but at this elo, I'm not sure players do that kind of thing. I don't know. Maxi does play at this elo, but from my understanding, most people aren't like Maxi. Everything above 50 is a personal holiday for me. Then you were killing it that game, Tasty. Laming is a good shout on this map. Well, you're just so close to your opponent, right? And it takes so much res away and gives you so much res. Like, 400 fast food. It's not just 400 food minus from your opponent. It's 400 food plus for you. So it's really an 800 resource swing if you lame an elephant on a map like this. And that may not be how math works, but that's how my brain justifies it. Let's talk a little bit about these civs, because I don't think we're going to get any early aggression here. I think both these players are going to play safe. Italians, typically an anti-cav civ, but that's not really going to come into play here. I think what will come more into play if we see this game go late is going to be the cheaper gunpowder units to deal with Armenian infantry. Alternatively, we've got the composite bowmen, which ignore armor, meaning any of the high pierce armor options that the Italians have, including siege. Do composite bowmen ignore siege armor? That seems like a silly question, but I've heard weirder things. It just says ignored armor, so I'm going to assume that's all armor on all units. Armenians having the mule cart is going to give them a lot of flexibility, including the ability to come out here and take extra hunt, maybe even take some of the corner rhino, if we want to. Not that players at this elo would be doing something so risky. We are going to be seeing the Armenian barrack go down. I am expecting men-at-arms. Almost every single final set, at least one player in each game has gone men-at-arms, no matter if the civs are men-at-arms civs or not. So I guess it's just standard now, which is absolutely baffling to me, because when I left, if you went men-at-arms every game, you were literally just trolling, unless it was very specific circumstances. Third elephant coming in for Tasty now. Third elephant already under the TC for Tomo. Tomo gonna click feudal first. Tasty's still looking for the food. Maybe a force drop-off. Okay, we're getting loom. 8 seconds of idle TC time for Tomo, none for Tasty. And if Tasty grabs a force drop-off here, we should be able to click feudal. And I think we had to force a couple times there. Feudal is going to be clicked about 45 seconds later for Tasty than for Tomo. Tomo not showing a barracks yet, already on gold. It could potentially be a faster castle, especially with the negative 15% cost to advancing. I could definitely see maybe like a fast castle on this map, but my concern is if we don't have castle res, what does it really do for us besides maybe knights? But even then, why Italians minus the age up time? I'm interested to see how this goes. We got a barracks down for Tomo. Feudal is in. Militia are made for Tasty, and Tasty's going to be looking to find some forward damage with these. Now, something we were talking about earlier. Have a good night, Christella. Sleep well. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you get some good rest. And it is going to be 2 ranges for Tomo. Wow. So my understanding is it takes 6 gold miners per range to constantly produce archers. So if we're going to want to constantly produce, we're going to need a lot of gold miners. But we don't necessarily have to constantly produce. We just have to make sure that we aren't getting overly pressured by these men-at-arms that can become long swords when Tasty gets the res. Not in feudal, crossbow produce faster. I thought it was 6 for archers, not for crossbow. But I may be wrong. I don't know where I heard that. I'm just regurgitating it. Oh, okay. That makes sense, Ram. Thank you for explaining that to me. Men-at-arms going to be getting a couple hits. 2 vills left on half health. The archer's going to be waddling on over. Walling on the same side as our military for Tasty. This is an interesting choice. I understand it's because the military buildings are already here. But in my opinion, if you're going to have your military all on one side, you want to wall the other side just in case. Because you're probably going to be able to respond if your military is on the same side. Versus if all your military is over here and your walls are over here. I guess it's not super easy to run under the TC, but still. Could be detrimental. How's the volume on everything? I adjusted a bunch of capture age volume. I adjusted my mic volume. I adjusted the volume of my PC itself, like the output from the computer. Can you hear the game, or is it super quiet for you guys? Plenty on gold for Tomo here. It's going to be 8 on gold. So is that enough to produce out of both ranges and save up for castle? Because I think if you're saying 2 ranges is 6 on gold, then that means the 2 extra will be getting us that 200 gold we need for castle. Fletching in for Tasty, skirms in for Tasty, but 10 archers for Tomo. And they are going to be content to just sit on the southern side of the map here. Tomo doing kind of what I was talking about. Walling on the opposite side is where units are idling. I don't know if that's intentional. It's probably just because this is where Tasty attacked at. And Tasty gonna have the foresight to swing around. Doesn't know Tomo's left all his units on the other side, but gonna go ahead and take advantage of it anyways. No longsword tech for Tasty still. But we've had to spend a lot of food on skirms. Some good walls here for Tomo. And we're going to be looking to back off here. I really wish Tasty would keep walking around, because he maybe could see this, but I understand why he's not. Gonna try and find a new angle of approach. Fletching coming in for Tomo now. Tomo's archers are forward, and Tasty is significantly less walled on his walled side. But there are scrims to defend. Now the numbers are in Tomo's advantage. Tomo gonna lose an archer while trying to get close. Gonna prioritize the scout there. 2 archers go down in what feels like a very preventable way for Tomo. I feel like if you're going to get that close to the skirms, you should shoot the skirms. But, alas, I'm going to be adding more archers on the back. Going to be Vil fighting. The skirms under the TC. Longswords get a kill. And Tasty is sitting pretty with 3 Vil kills to 0 right now. As a longsword goes down to the watchtower. These longswords are going to be a bit of a menace under this tower. You're going to have to either Vil fight or bring over the archers, and the longswords should get cleaned up by this. They either get killed by the archers eventually, or they die to the tower. Skirm's going to be tanking. We're going to be pulling away. But it's not going to be enough. The tower's just going to eat all this up. Good defense here by Tomo. Unfortunately, Tasty just didn't have enough steam in the push to be able to take out the tower. And on the flip side, he's going to be getting completely pushed off the main gold by the death ball. I'm going to be getting infantry armor for Tasty. I don't necessarily dislike it. What I dislike is the fact that we are still prioritizing infantry when our opponent has so much archers. And we're only encouraging him to go harder into archers. Now, Tasty is constantly producing skirms whenever he needs to. So it is sort of a tit for tat sort of situation. Tasty does have a gold on the backside he could transfer to with the mule cart. If he wanted to. Especially with the threat of the archers still looming. But Tomo gonna be satisfied to take him off of this gold. Not really try and push any deeper. Longswords and skirms still terrorizing on the bottom side here. They keep going flip-flopping each other side of Tomo's base. Really trying to make sure that he feels claustrophobic in here. Scout going to come in to start getting hits on the skirms, so the longswords are going to be there to defend. Quite good attack for the feudal age. 9 attack. And skirm's going to kill 2 of the archers there for Tomo, as Tomo's looking somewhere else. Going to clean up the scout of Tasty. Longswords under the TC. One goes down. Where is the longsword? Oh, there it is. Longsword goes down to the archer. Scout pops out of the stable. And between that scout and the scout that comes out, we may see these skirms cleaned up. A couple longswords going to come to help. But if the scouts are able to get a good engagement on the skirms, while the longswords are out of position, this could be good for Tomo. Double bit X coming in for Tasty. First economic upgrade we've been able to grab. Tasty does have 3 blacksmith upgrades over Tomo's 1. And still Tomo is able to hold. It's super unfortunate that even though the longswords aren't an anti-cav unit, they are just so strong that you never want to take a fight with these longswords on the scouts. You always want to kill the longswords with archers and save your scouts for the skirms. These skirms are out of position, exactly what you want if you're going to be able to dive in and get a couple of doinks off. And it's really going to be down to who positions better, who can keep up the micro while not idling their TC, who can click up first. I think this is a much better engagement for Tasty. Tasty getting quite a few kills and lowering the HP on a lot of those archers. Last thing Tasty wants to do here is get a little overzealous, and the scouts are going to come out. Longswords shuffling about. Arson for Tasty. Interesting. I don't hate it. But these longswords definitely going to be enough. Oh, well, one of them got distracted. And Tasty may be overextending just a little bit there. Maybe should have given himself just a little more space to work with. Especially considering we're literally operating within Tomo's vision. Bloodlines coming in for Tomo. But alternatively, Tasty's click castle. And Tasty's going to add a second barrage on the way up to castle here. Potentially looking to go full-on two-handed swordsmen. Maybe two-handed swords and E-skirm with a couple of rams. All depends on how many of these units we can hang on to and how much momentum we can generate from this faster castle time. Tomo still constantly producing feudal military. Tomo going to be looking to get an engagement here now that he has full upgrades on his scouts. Horse collar coming in for Tomo before Castle Age. And I think Tomo is going to be in a world of hurt if he can't click castle here soon. Longsword's going to be doing everything they can to finish off those scouts. And it's going to be enough. Not enough skirms to one-shot an archer anymore. And castle is going to be clicked, but it is 2 minutes 10 seconds behind for Tomo. If we saw anything in last game, the first player up to castle doesn't necessarily win. It is going to come down to what Tasty does with this castle agent. Oh, yes. It's gonna be infantry and siege. I'm excited. We are going to go ahead and get Bodkin for the skirms. Interesting choice. But it's for the range. We're going to get E-skirm as well. Okay, that makes sense. Especially since it seems like we're fully committed to skirms. Problem here is going to be Tomo is still going deep into archers. And unless he makes a couple of knights, it's going to be really hard to deal with these E-skirm here in a second. Is the AC on just for testing because it's kind of back? Yes, it just kicked on, so that confirms that that's what it is. Let me turn down my gain and tell me if it helps. Does this sound better? Can you still hear the AC? Am I too quiet? Let me know. I'm happy to adjust things and test out. Still there? How about now? Oh wait, you can only hear it when I talk. I'll keep casting. Two-handed swordsman coming in for Tasty. This is what we like to see. Two-handed swords and rams. E-skirm gonna be killing the Woodvilles. Gonna be trying to get down some quick walls, but it's not gonna be enough. I'm struggling to click a two-handed swordsman to see how much attack they have. 12 attack. And soon to have squires. These two-handed swordsmen are not gonna care about your house walls. They're just gonna eat them. If I go lower than this on the gain, I don't know if it'll pick up my voice. Gain doesn't seem to change it. Okay, that's super weird. If gain isn't the thing... That is so weird. Hang on. Let me try something. Help at all? I'm gonna be back here. Getting ready. I thought it was gonna... I have no idea how I'm gonna fix this. Crossbows on the front for Tomo. They are crossbows with bodkin arrow. Iskra, I'm going to be swinging around to respond. Tasty doing a good job of putting on the pressure. True, we know what it is now. I'll try and find a way to get like a noise gate or something that'll work for it. Tasty continuing to add extra mangoes here. Having to replace the stable for Tomo. But it is going to be knights added. Which is what I thought we needed for Tomo. Big thing here is going to be making sure that we get as much value out of them as possible to stop this push. I agree. Knights are going to wreck. I think the one choice that Tasty can make here is maybe add pikes in E-skirms. Especially since you already have the siege advantage. I know we've already teched into two-handed swordsmen. But this way, we can just have a little bit more of a threat to those knights. Tomo, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Enjoy the chat. Sorry if you can hear my AC. Good win. Game 1, Tomo. We are on game 2. About 35 minutes in. Potential conversion here for Tasty. I like it. I like it. Armenian relic in the bank as well. That's going to start trickling in that gold. Monk is going to go down. Conversion comes through, but the mangoes are not going to survive. We've got enough knights to deal with the siege. And this is a situation where having just a couple of pikemen, or even just moving back a little bit faster, could have helped. Gonna send in that converted knight to try and bring him back to the two-handed swordsman. A knight will go down here. Sorry, Tomo. I was just trying to make sure that, like, you knew what was happening. But you're right. You played it. You were there. Crossbow is going to be pushed out by Tasty. Once again. Tasty's knight going to try and contest Tomo's knight. Tomo having more... No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. Tasty having more upgrades for the knights. Interestingly. Nope, I got it backwards after saying I thought I got it backwards. Tomo has more upgrades for the knights. Tasty has the infantry upgrades and the archer upgrades here. The knights are getting so much value. And the thing is, one knight truly can deal with like a big group of skirms. Monks are going to be doing a lot to make Tomo a little more apprehensive about sending 1 and 2 knights in. And continuing to add siege on the front for Tasty. I would love to see Tasty grab a couple more relics. But healing up these units is also incredible value. This TC is not going to stay up for long. As the Vills ungarrison. Gonna see repair. And Tomo gonna need to find a way to stop this pressure. Tomo with quite a bit of res in the bank. A conversion does come through. 2 conversions. Very unfortunate for Tomo. Tasty playing this really well here. Tasty just now getting a Vil lead. Partially due to Vil kills. Partially due to the fact that Tasty has been able to add in extra TCs here. In the Castle Age. Tasty still adding monks. I love it. As long as Tomo is still willing to come forward with those knights. And we've got that meat shield. These conversions are so good for Tasty. Tomo is going to be able to get that second TC out on the north side here. Potentially looking to secure the stone. so that we can castle one of these locations. Because Tomo might be feeling a little bit claustrophobic right now. We did see a couple of scout cavalry dive the monks. A couple of the monks went down, but we did see conversions come through. And it's going to be just more units for Tasty. The mangoes going down does slow the push. But I think Tasty is going to be happy to continue taking away knights, healing them up, in exchange for 2 mangoes at a time. I love how we went from Ravine losing to not making skirms to people making too many skirms. Forward castle for Tomo, potentially. All we have here are E-skirm. Knights are coming over. We may have the military to force this up. This would be a fantastic castle. It could be a little closer, but that's okay. And it's going to be a response castle from Tasty. The knights are going to be occupied with Tasty's knights. And the knights need to be on these vills first. I think, honestly, the skirms are less of an importance. We need to make sure that our castle goes up first. And we are not going to be able to do that if the opponent has more vills. And there we go. We focused the correct thing. Cleaning up as many of those vills as we can. Giving ourselves the castle timing here. And that is going to be a doubt castle from Tasty, potentially. As Tomo is just able to secure this. Oh my goodness, I almost spoke too soon. 1 vill left for Tomo. And a 67% castle for Tasty. All because of the knights going to kill the vills rather than killing the skirms first. Really well played from Tomo. Really good forward castle. It could range 2 TCs. That's okay. I'm going to give this castle a solid 9 out of 10. It really doesn't get much better than this. Honestly, maybe a 10 out of 10. I'm going to be so for real. That's a really good forward castle. Genuinely. It's a little bit on the hill. It denied the castle. It's on the TC. It gives Tomo so much presence on this side of the map that he's just... Oh, that's a tea time TC if I've ever seen one. Beautiful. Yeah, I really like this. Tomo does lose the OG TC, but gonna be perfectly happy to farm over here on the mill. I'm gonna get back on 2 TCs not too long here. He's losing his base? Well, I think he's losing parts of his base, though, that, like, he's already resigned to losing. It's more Tomo's relying on the fact that Tasty doesn't know what's here. And doesn't really want to push without knowing. To just get as much res and as many units on the board as possible. Genbos for Tomo is an interesting choice here. Especially since Tasty isn't making cav, he's only converting cav. I also don't like the Genbos into Ram Two-Handed Swordsman or E-skirm. Honestly, I think, Tomo, you just keep massing knights, brother. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I just feel like there's nothing we can't beat with some good knights here. Or a lot of them. When in losing position, just drop a castle. When in any position, I drop a castle, let me tell you. Champion coming in for Tasty. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, Genbos are going to do even worse against Champion than regular archers do. And regular archers, they don't do poorly against Champion. It's just micro-intensive. These knights are going to get a lot of Vill kills here as they're ejected from the TC. 1 conversion does come out. But Tomo is looking to even up the eco KD. And this ram could get sniped by these knights. A couple of reinforcements coming back. As we have 3 rams coming in on this TC. Knight's going to get ready to come in as the Two-Handed Swordsman pop out. Now Champion. Pardon me, only 1 jumped out. Still not going to be quite enough of a push. Ooh, really nice unit micro there. Tomo going to garrison to ungarrison on the other side. And get his knights between the Genbos and the champion. Monk on the front for Tomo now to heal and to convert. It's going to be enough to clean up the champs in the ram push there. And this is what I'm talking about. I think knights might be enough for Tomo. Castle Age champs, baby. Oh, yeah. Another castle going up for Tasty. Just behind the old one, and this is gonna get denied. The light cap spots it. There are some champions here, but is it going to be enough? We see more vills coming. But this could be a suicide castle. The knights do have to go back, but the castle is going to help kill the champions. But the castle will go up here for Tasty. Hoping to staunch the flow of Tomo into his base. These champions going to do a pretty good job of tanking. Champions are missing the second attack. Okay, so can you guys still hear the whiz? Because I think the AC turned off. So if you can't hear it now, then it's definitely the AC. E-skirm in the base of Tomo. Okay, then it's 100% the AC, and I'm just going to have to find a way to make it not pick that up. E-skirm gonna go down to the knights at home for Tomo. Let's check the relic game. 2 relics for Tomo. 1 for Tasty, and Tasty's been on monks this whole game. Tasty only knows where 1 of the relics are, though. Unfortunate, because Tasty technically could have 3 relics right now. 4, if you count the one from the Armenians, which you should. 78 to 71 fills here in favor of Tasty. Imp is coming in for Tomo first, though. And this could be a situation where the first person to Trebs may just be the one to eke out the advantage. Tomo turned this around. Tomo took so much pressure off of himself, he was able to re-TC his OG TC. That's why this is a 10 out of 10 castle. If a castle literally goes up and it makes you go from, oh my goodness, I'm on the back foot, to, oh nice, I can chill and push, that's a 10 out of 10 castle, let me tell you. 11 out of 10 castle, and 11 out of 10 castle would have to be like this castle, and then the opponent immediately GG's. Like a game-winning castle that also is just beautiful, like, placed. Imp is going to be 2 minutes behind for Tasty, so I think you can maybe make three trebs in that time. If you have the res, we don't quite have the res for it, but we're definitely going to be able to get a treb out as we see ballistics, handcart, thumb ring, archer armor, all coming in for the Genbos. I'm super curious why we're going Genbos here, because unless you're going to fight Cav, Genbos, to my understanding, are just worse than regular archers. Please tell me if I'm wrong. I thought they had less range and less attack. But maybe they have more armor. We shall see. Bracer chemistry coming in immediately. Treb coming in immediately for Tomo as well. Still a minute 30 for Tasty till Imp. Is Tomo just looking to go fully into Genbo and Trebs? I don't know if that's the best idea against Champion. I think I'd love to see a couple of hand cannons mixed in for Tomo, though. When you got cheaper gunpowder units, and you have a unique tech for your hand cannons, and you're already getting chemistry, oh man, throw me a couple ranges down right here, throw in a couple hand cannons in the mix for the champs. Mwah. Beautissimo. Treb is trebbing. Castle down to half health now. There are bills near to repair, but Tasty only has 16 stone in the bank. Could delete this castle, potentially, to get some stone back, but if it's shot one time with the Treb, that foundation will go down. We're going to see the composite moment and the Rams come forward. The Knights are going to focus on the Rams first. We are going to see the champs get onto the Genbos. Genbos are microing back. Composite Bowman going to be able to keep one of the Rams alive on 15 HP. Champions absolutely steamrolling the Genbos anytime they can get close. And the Genbos just too slow to be able to fully outrun the champions and micro them down. Composite Bowman going to be chilling under the castle with the Ram. Not really going to be able to repair this from Tomo. And even though Tomo takes down this castle, if Tomo's castle goes down, there's a world where Tasty finishes this castle that has 23 HP on it. That's a crazy world if that castle gets finished. Bracer, Capped Ram, Hand Cart for Tasty. Defensive castle for Tomo to staunch the bleeding. And it's going to be light cav for Tomo. Despite the fact we've got 2k food in the bank and 600 gold. Honestly, Tomo can probably go East Skirm here. Into the Genbos. Did I miss something? Nice moment to call it. But Tomo, Tasty is the one who FF'd. Is it because Tasty, like, lost? It's because Tasty lost all their bowmen and doesn't have a castle to produce, I guess. And was planning to rely on that. GG. Let's look at the stats before we go to game 3 here. Good ratio for Tomo and the KD. Way more units for Tasty. Tomo was able to do a lot with quite a few units. Those Knights in early castle acting like pure tanks with that armor and attack. Really late imp times due to all the fighting in Castle Age. But Tomo being able to get to imp just that little bit faster and tread down that first castle for Tasty, I think was the first nail in the coffin. That was the end of this game. More vills for Tomo. Here's that APM chart. Yeah, Lee, you guys are fast. Let's pull up game 3. Let's read what the players have to say. Also, the AC turned back on, I'm sorry. I called it because I didn't have long-term gold and no unit to go for right now, plus no castle for composite. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured, was you were so, like, planning to go composite, and then you were already struggling to get the mass, and then you lost these, and then you don't have a castle, and you don't really have a way to get a castle quickly or easily. Makes sense. Fantastic comeback. Very close with the Ram push. Yeah, no, seriously. Insane comeback by Tomo here. Otter, for the most part, I used to pause during ads, but now it doesn't tell me. It used to tell me at the top of my Streamlabs when ads started, and I would pause so that people didn't miss any of the cast, and for some reason it doesn't tell me anymore. So if people tell me there are ads, I'll pause, especially if it's like the people whose games it is. But other than that, I've lost my way to know whether or not ads are playing. That's so weird. Oh, you know what it might be? I think it might be because I'm not logged into the chat on my Streamlabs. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna fix that later. But I think it's because I'm not logged in on there. Because it definitely isn't logged in. Alrighty. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 3 of this Specialist Cup Final. We are on Crown Wood. We have, in the purple, on the Lithuanians, Tasty. And in the red, on the Magyars, Tomo. This map is interesting. I saw it for the first time this morning. All of our wood lines are on elevated hills here. And my understanding is you try to chop out and then build a castle on the elevation or something like that. But we will see how these players play it. Both of them are on cav civs. This map being relatively open. Pretty much there's quite a bit to wall for both players if they want a wall. Making this a good map for scouts. And then, of course, the wood lines can be pretty dang far away if you're wanting to go for one of these main wood lines, making them extremely vulnerable to any sort of scout rush. Thank you, Otter. I appreciate the pushing ads until like the end of games and things. That's perfect. I don't know why you're willing to help me out so much when I only made you a mod because you said you'd fix my title, but I will take any help I can get. You just let me know if you need anything from me, okay? There we go. It's gonna be lumber camp on that main wood line for Tasty. And where is the lumber camp gonna go for Tomo? It's gonna go also back here on this back one. This is good. I think both players have picked their safest sort of clump of trees to go to. And even though they are safer, they're still going to be pretty far from the TC if we don't do any sort of short walling and susceptible to any sort of man-at-arms or scout play. Got an Idleville here. There we go. House walling, not going to be... I'm like 99% sure you need a palisade there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you need a palisade there. If not, that is the most, like, weird looking, touching bases of a building I've ever seen. Glad to hear it, Otter. I appreciate you, and I'm happy to cast these sets. Especially because I didn't get to be around for most of Specialist Cup. And Zara is just such a cool guy. Tomo, gonna be going pretty heavy on wood here. Definitely wanting to wall up, it seems. And I'm making that assertion both based off of the house wall and off of the number of lumber jacks. Standard 3 on wood for Tasty. So Tasty is probably expecting to go for feudal military here. Not planning to wall up, planning to keep Tomo at home as much as possible through aggression. And Tomo is just preparing for that outcome. Now elevation is just weird like that. Okay, so this is walled, is what you're saying. Yeah, you can see by the grid. See, I always thought that, like, the white lines would touch if it was walled. But I guess that doesn't make sense graphically. But, okay, if you go off the grid, it should be correct. Feudal Age going to be coming in for Tasty first. There's that barracks. Again, Tasty not really looking to wall. Gonna rely on map pressure through units, I think. What could we see here? Feudal Age coming in for Tomo as well. Just 55 seconds behind Tasty. Tasty probably gonna go for scouts. Or spears, or men-at-arms, or archers, or skirms. Tomo probably gonna go for scouts. I've been wrong every time I've said scouts. That's why I keep saying it. But also, every time I think it's a civ that's good for scouts, people are like, skirms! And I'm like, okay, okay. I haven't learned the new meta. So 50 seconds away from feudal for Tomo. Tasty does have a timing here, and it's gonna be scouts. Let's go. I'm not a liar anymore. Double bit X coming in for Tasty as well. And unfortunately, Tomo is going to frame one scout that stable, which is going to be vital information for Tomo, which means Tomo is either going to be able to get up a barracks and get out some spears, or short wall, and it's going to be both for Tomo here. Kiki's on a 5-watch streak. Holy cow. Also, I've only been back streaming for 3 days, so have you watched me 5 times, Kiki? Have I done 5 streams in 3 days? That's a whole other issue. I'm just happy to be back. Stable going to be going down for Tomo as well. We don't see the spears added yet, but you can still Vil fight this. It is just one scout, even if it has forging. One day scouts will appear if you look to the east on the 5th day. Close. If you look to the east on the 5th stream, you'll find scouts. And it's the west. Scouts on the field for the Lithuanian player. I'm going to be chasing Tasty out of the base, but the spears are on the map now for the Magyar player. And Horse Collar without any farms down. It's like the good old days. It's like they never changed it. Scout's going to be wrapping around this right side here. I'm intrigued by the fact that we're walling here rather than here. But I kind of understand because we're kind of just, we expect them to come this way. And good expectations. Tomo not gonna, okay, gonna spot him. Gonna have the advantage here. We see the spear swing around. Reinforcement scout gonna come, trying to get the elevation. That's one thing about this map is if you can, you want to try and kite to a hill. If you know that it's gonna be an even fight, so you can get that down attack bonus. With scouts, it can be pretty easy for someone to overfollow, and you get a couple of fast, quick hits downhill. And then they try and micro uphill, and then you get another hit in. And then you micro uphill. It's just fun. And by fun, I mean nerdy. Plenty of scouts on the map for Tomo. Gonna be satisfied to use them as cover on the walling. Tomo not really scouting anything that Tasty is doing. While Tasty is gonna take a page out of Tomo's book. Oh, I love this. Oh, I've never enjoyed any decision making ever more than this. This makes me so unbelievably happy for no reason. Because you spent so much extra res. I say that like it's like not 15 wood. But you spent so much extra res to account for this. And this is the kind of thing that I think about. Tasty just got a new fan because of that wall specifically. And it looks like Tasty is gonna be full walled here. Yeah, that's a full wall for Tasty, even though Tomo started walling first. And due to the fact that Tomo stayed home to defend, to make sure those walls were safe, Tomo's still not full walled. And is going to be too late to find any sort of forward pressure with these scouts. Really well done from Tasty to be able to get those scouts forward and keep Tomo at home long enough to give himself the space to wall up. You think you wall me? No, I wall you. Take these scouts. That's what Tasty sounds like in my head right now. It's not accurate. I just don't know what they sound like. Gandalf never mentioned streams. I don't know what that means, Kiki. And I love Lord of the Rings. Spear gonna doink away that scout. Scout's gonna get out of here. I guess the scouts took out that house. Gonna be a blacksmith. Tomo gonna be looking for castle, but Tasty clicks first here. And Tasty gonna add on the range behind. I'm a little questioning of the range, but it's not the end of the world. Tasty with the faster uptime, and I think it's genuinely just due to the difference between making 10 scouts and making 4 scouts and 4 spears. There's so much more food on this screen than there is on this screen. You know what I'm saying? Only a minute and a half away here. And if Tasty is able to get up, get out some knights, get some forward siege. Nope, it's going to be double range again. Tasty has an opportunity here to swing around with the spears. Let's see if Tomo responds quick enough. I think I even would have liked to see the scouts for Tasty brought over. But we wait too long and Tomo notices. We hesitated just a little bit too much from Tasty. Got a little greedy waiting for that extra spearman to pop out. Castle Age is going to be a minute and 30 seconds later for Tomo. Giving Tasty another timing attack here to potentially deal with these mass of scouts. Bloodline's going to be coming in for Tomo now. Fletching as well. Why is Tomo rushing fletching? I guess it's just for what he's about to make. I think it might be CA for Tomo here, which might be why Tasty added the ranges. Oh, it's going to be also... I don't remember there being a bonus to CA for... No, there's no bonus to CA for Lithuanians. They just have generic ones. Interesting. I mean, Magyar Hazar are generic until they get the imp upgrade, so... It's not like it's a bad matchup or anything. No, we're getting Archer Armor. So it's not CA. No, it is CA. I'm sorry. Do CA work off Archer Armor? That seems like a dumb question for a caster to ask, but it's been a while. Sometimes I forget. Archer's broken unit. Yes. If you're 1800 plus. And that's not to say, oh, it's normally a bad unit. It's more to be like, you have to know A, how to use it, and B, when to use it. Because it's not always broken. On such a vast map, you pretty much have to play CA in Castle Age. It's a meta player thing. Yeah, you don't need a bonus to play CA nowadays. It's just most cases the best possible unit. Okay. Did they buff CA? Or is it just on open maps? Like, would you play CA on, like, Land Nomad or something? I don't know. I'm just asking so I can understand why CA are so much more popular now, because they used to be. Everybody hated them and thought they were bad, even the good players. I do like the monastery here for Tasty. Tasty potentially getting relics. Yes, sir. Tasty definitely getting relics. Gonna grab the Walden relic already. Just got it in the monastery. Beautiful work there. No monastery for Tomo, but Tomo does have quite a few units on the board. Tasty also has a few units on the board, but they are going to be spearmen that are over here. Meaning this army would win an engagement against Tasty. Excuse me. On Landomid? Heck yeah, I would play them there for map control. Okay, so that makes sense to me. I understand. Anything where it's kind of open up and you need both mobility but also the ability to pressure over walls. I'm thinking CA are just good because they give you options on how to use them and quick response time. Gonna try and go through the stable once again for Tomo here. I don't know if we'll see a forward siege workshop, but the CA that are reinforcing are gonna get potentially picked up by Tasty here. Spears are going to come around to the scouts. CA going to try and deal with the spears. Spears need to get between the CA and the CA. And we're going to run the CA right into the spears. Going to get them a few free hits, but ultimately cleaning them up. The scouts are going to continue to try and bust their way in. CA making sure there's no repairs being made. And Tasty just doesn't have the numbers to contest this right now. Tomo's able to get in here. It's not going to be the end of the world, but it is going to be painful for Tasty. Because Tomo will have the ability to take him off of wood without any sort of safe wood for Tasty to take. And Tomo's in. There is a singular scorpion, but we've got light cab now. It seems like Tomo was just able to get the numbers together and out on the field a little bit faster. Like I've still tasked on the siege workshop. Tasty getting the micro in here, getting the downhill attack. Both players having the micro, dodging these arrows. Neither player having ballistics. Oh, I lied. Tomo has ballistics. Tasty does not. But even with ballistics, he's still attacking uphill. Monk gonna try and get a conversion right in front of these light cav. Kind of funny. They'll go down as well. And it seems like the light cav really were wanting to take out the siege workshop before any sort of scorpion mass could be had. Tomo trading a little bit more health on the CA here. Lots of CA micro. Tasty, if you had ballistics there, I think with the downhill attack, you could have killed half of the CA that survived there. And I think we realized that. We're getting ballistics. Perfect. And as I said, we're on this wood line because we got pushed off of this one. But if your CA are going to be here anyways, you might as well throw a lumber camp on the back here. Speak and you shall receive. Tasty going to toss down that lumber camp. Interesting choice to me to take out buildings with the light cav for Tomo, but I mean, it seems to be working. It is definitely keeping Tasty hauled up here. I am concerned that we're losing so many units. The main strength that we've had here as Tomo has been numbers and good engagements, but we do keep taking quite a few shots without sort of returning fire. Now we're going to see reinforcements come in for Tomo. And it's going to be a CL micro battle. Both players now have ballistics. Both players having both archer armors. Bodkin. Bloodlines and husbandry. So even on the upgrades. It's going to be a TC out here on the gold and wood for Tasty. And if this goes up, it's going to be super valuable because it's going to give Tasty a bit of safe wood, and access to more gold that's not being threatened. Thumb ring coming in for Tasty now. A little bit extra fire rate on those CA. Also going to finish up any accuracy that ballistics doesn't give. More military units for Tomo. And Tomo able to produce CA faster due to that Magyar team bonus. 25% faster. I think what I would like to see from Tasty here are some skirm additions. I think that could give you just that little bit of sponge. You have a couple skirms in front of your CA to eat up some of that CA fire whenever we do the patrol micro. If we're patrol microing and not clicking everything. And more CA here for Tomo. So if Tomo does take a fight, it's going to be advantageous for him. Tomo not going to see the CA. Going to be able to pick off that reinforcement. Tomo potentially going to be able to pick out a couple of these CA. Misses the first volley. Still no thumb ring. Oh, yes, thumb ring for both players. So we've got every upgrade we can in the Castle Age here for the CA. An Imp is clicked for Tasty. Now Tasty has the worst fully upgraded CA, but is going to have timing on his side. Tasty also has 4 relics in the monastery. No monastery for Tomo. I lied to you. 1 relic for Tomo. Soon to be 2. He will find that soon. Imp and Skirm for Tasty. That's exactly what I was expecting. Gonna add in some siege as well. Potentially scorpions. CA gonna be looking to raid the vills on the wood line, but the wood is basically gone there. Tasty should be pretty satisfied to come out here and chop. TC does go up for Tasty, and it's not going to be... Oh, it may have been discovered by Tomo here. Now there's more CA for Tasty, but Tomo was able to kill quite a few vills there. Eking out the vill lead. And we see both players are just going to take the full-on fight. Some of Tomo's CA going to get stuck in pathing. Going to continue to bump against each other. Really unfortunate here for Tomo. He may be dodging arrows, though. Trying to out-micro. But I think with just the little bit of a lead that Tasty had... And with the lack of pathing issues, Tasty is going to clean up there. And hit Imp. And drop a castle. And Tomo's not necessarily in trouble right now. But all this pressure and all this strength that Tomo had is now gone. And Tasty is going to be able to get techs, get trebs, and come forward. Called micro, not pathing. I was mainly talking about the units that were like running around here instead of shooting. You had a couple of CA that were like trying to go shoot ones that were in the back. And they weren't shooting, they were moving. That's what I was talking about with the pathing issues. I realized this one here was dodging arrows when it didn't die. Bracer in for Tasty. Armor going to be coming in as well. CA going to have a response back at Tomo's base from the reinforcements. It's going to be a quick cleanup of Tasty CA on the front lines. Tasty gonna be opting for Elite Latus, having all the relics he needs, and those Latus are gonna ignore any sort of armor and have maximum possible attack if we get those blacksmith upgrades. Very strong unit. Not necessarily good against massed CA, but not necessarily bad if we have E-Skirm there. I was about to say, don't bring Latus to a CA fight, but it's a Skirm fight now. Yeah, exactly. I think the age of CA is ending, and it's the age of Skirm and whatever gold unit you're gonna go. We are gonna start getting armor for our Latus here. Imp is 30 seconds away from Tomo, and you can see Tomo also going to be teching into cavalry armor, but also producing both more CA and more skirms. And I think if it turns into a skirm and Latus versus skirm and CA war, if we can get good engagements, the Latus and skirm should win, but Tomo will have the advantage of both of his armies being ranged. Whereas Tasty is going to have to really work hard to get any sort of good flank or gap close with the Latus if we don't have overwhelming numbers. Chemistry, Wheelbarrow, Chain Barding Armor, and Forging all coming in for Tasty. Tasty also going to be blind castle dropping. For Tomo, this is a castle drop. For Tasty, this is Tuesday. I don't think Tasty had any idea this was going to be a thing. The most unintentional castle drop ever. Oh my goodness, it even denies the second relic from Tomo. This is the most value. I'm just going to put a castle on a gold mine castle I've ever seen. It's also a good castle to treb in from. But man, you got so much more value from this castle than just I need a forward castle to produce from. That's so funny. Was that intentional? That couldn't have possibly been intentional. Ah, I see. I figured it was for the gold and also for, like, pushing in. Having a forward base. But yeah, getting both the monk and the TC is fantastic there for you. Do we have the Lithuanian tech that makes our skirms better? No. This would be OP during these fights. Well, only if the CA are doing enough damage for it to matter. E-Skirm, Wet Noodle fight. Better ball up for Tasty. Quite a few skirms gonna go down on Tomo's side. Not to mention Tasty has the final armor and Tomo doesn't. Has Tomo seen the latest? Not yet. CA going to be trying to threaten the southern TC. But they need to find a way to come up here and stop this push. Tasty's got plenty of trebs on the field. A couple of latest and plenty of E-Skirm. And we really want to deal with this push before any more damage comes in. Tomo gonna be splitting up his army. Gonna be looking for the flank with the CA. Like have diving the trebs. This is good. Latest gonna come out to defend, but they're a bit slow. CA gonna be out of position to deal with the latest because the skirms are able to block. Our flank was actually used against us. This choke point going to be too much for the CA to push through, and the skirms are going to pull off the threat from the trebs. Trebs will continue to treb. Light cab are going to go down here. But we're getting pushed into a corner. Heavy CA is in. Parthian Tactics is coming. Hussar is coming. But the E-Skirm and the latest do win the engagement there. Only 2 of our 4 trebs went down for Tasty. And these forward production buildings are so vital here. We don't have a way to quickly reinforce. We're going to be in a world of hurt. We're going to lose steam. And it's going to be a way for Tomo to get back in this game. Tomo going to take another engagement with the Hussar on the skirms. Trying to pick off as many as he can here. CA are targeting the skirms instead of the latest. Gonna drop that forward monastery to grab the last 2 relics here. We are trebbing farms. Latest with full attack. That is elite latest. They have, count it, 22 attack damage and ignore armor. 150 HP, 5 melee, 5 pierce armor. Absolutely incredible unit for Tasty here. And again, it just doesn't matter if we can't get to the CA. I think the big problem here is Tasty has the better units and has more units, but we're literally just not fighting with all of them. We're constantly taking these small fights with small armies, and now we're going to try and forward castle without our army even in position, and we're just going to get killed. Why is our army here if we're trying to castle drop here? It's not a diversion. That's a suicide squad. Latest going to clean up the Hussar. Perfect. But we need more Eastgrim on the field to get the CA pushed back. If we want to do any sort of forward positioning, for us to have a castle to treb under. Response trebs are out for Tomo now. But latest will absolutely, like... Let's do math. 22 attack, 150 HP, armor's not involved. So how many times does 22 go into 150? Well, 20 goes into 105 times. And then 2.5 times into 50. So that's 7.5 attacks for latest to kill a treb. Right? No, wait. They have 22 attack. So it's probably more like 6 attacks. Or 5 attacks. What I'm trying to say is these things will kill the treb super quickly. I mass trebs and hope that I will someday win a fight. That is the most me-core thing that a almost 2K player has ever said. Look at my 11 trebs. You have no military. I have 11 trebs. That's military. Winged Hussar gonna be coming in for Tasty. But we don't have the food. I don't really know where we're making Winged Hussar. We could just make more latest. Do we not like our latest, or do we want the pierce armor? The latest have pierce armor. Honestly, we have gold. We don't have food. Why are we switching to Hussar over latest? Is it the bottleneck of production? I think it's the bottleneck of production. Go into the castle over here, baby. You ain't gotta push from here. In fact, you're getting pushed back out of here. I'm gonna be getting downhill trebbing, but there is return treb fire. Bill's gonna be getting pushed back by the CA, and Tomo is gonna be having more units here, and for the first time in a while, more units in total. Tasty constantly producing more, but constantly trickling in the reinforcements, constantly not having all the units together. It's sort of just, we're fighting with the units that are here, but if we waited and we just let them bunch up here and get 2 masses and deal with this CA ball, I don't know. Because I don't think Tasty can necessarily not respond to this. But you especially can't afford to continue to just sort of onesie and twosie. And I think we realize that here. We try and pull back. This is good. This is good. Latest on the Hussar. Skirms on the CA. It's all looking correct. We're reinforcing closer to home, which is also going to give us numbers advantage faster. So much food getting sold for Tomo. As we see Magyar Hussar added in. Magyar Hussar not going to do any better against the latest than the regular Hussar are doing. I'm sure latest are worse than Pala against CA. I was comparing them to the Hussar that we teched into for some reason. So Hussar have 6 pierce armor. Latest have 5. But latest have 50 more HP and more than double the attack. So that's why I was confused when you have 3,000 gold, why we would tech into Hussar instead of going all in latest. It's a 1 pierce armor difference for over twice the attack. That ignores armor. We must always hold on to hope. What's up, Yako? Good morning, how are you? Good to see you. I don't think Tomo's lost hope at all. I think Tomo is thinking, man, this is going to be a long game. Tomo does have the further forward castle right now. And it is on an eco that Tasty was using, but there's no more gold there, so Tasty is going to be okay with losing this position, I think. Tomo gonna be able to get some relics back here, which could help turn the tide, especially if gold seems to be an issue for Tomo, which it does. There's a significant lack of gold miners and a significant lack of gold on this map. AKA, both players, well no, actually, Tasty is still chilling on gold. Got plenty in the bank, plenty on the ground, plenty of relics in the monastery. Makes sense. I understand thinking about running out of gold, Tasty. I think it's funny when people like us think about running out of gold when we have, you know, 5k gold in the bank. Just us preparers, us warriors. Because, you know, we are equals in Age of Empires. Definitely. I'm definitely not 1100 elo and a Sicilian dungeon rusher. Elite Magyar Hussar is in. The CA are still holding strong against these latest. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Light Cav is the play. Maybe the 1 pierce armor makes a difference. Are they faster? I wonder. 154. 165. They are faster, so that also could help against closing the gap. So, okay, yeah. Winged Hussar. Oh, they're also Winged Hussar, which helps a lot. So more pierce armor and faster to close the gap on the CA. Tomo, despite the fact that we've got no gold except for our 2 relics, pretty stable eco. I am worried where we're going to get wood from, but honestly, we may be able to sell and buy a castle, come forward, get this wood if we really need to. It's amazing how well the players have been able to extract the resources from this map, while also constantly fighting since Feudal Age. The latest are stronger, but the Magyar Hussar are out in numbers. And it looks like it's gonna be... Man, I thought it was gonna be Tomo. But it looks way closer than I think it's gonna be every time. These CA just do not die for Tomo, though. He's very protective of them. Even though Tasty tries to get his E-Scrim on him anytime he can. Prop rotation, 2-man saw, and murder holes coming in for Tasty. All eco tech's already in for Tomo, so Tomo probably in the better econ situation. Yeah, Tomo has almost 10k. No, does have dang near 10k more res. Sorry, 6k. I said 10k twice. Has 6k more res. Red Milk Crane coming in for Tasty. Another fight here. Again, more numbers for Tomo. At least here, localized. But on the flip side, while all this is going on, you got 30 Winged Hussar on your eco. I was just talking about how stable and safe this eco was. And even though Tasty kind of lost this fight, he may win the war through this eco rating. This rating tends to be the first thing that wins games when they go late like this. The player who raids, the player who thinks to raid first, and the player who has the better rating unit tends to have the advantage. As we see Tasty take the Vil lead. Super close on the eco KD. But look at the idle TC time. 2 hours more idle TC time for Tasty. I know we've been pop capped for a while and don't need to make more bills. Neither of these players have an overabundance of units in queue and aren't pop capped anymore. Meaning there's still room for both of these players to mass. And once again, it feels like Tomo is grouping better than Tasty. But Tasty hoping to potentially start a push on this other side. Getting Tomo to move further away from his base, hopefully. Move some of the units over here. But there's no response from Tomo. Tomo is going to be perfectly happy to continue pushing straight up the middle here. As it's a slam dunk for Tasty onto Tomo's castle on the right side. The Hussar, Winged Hussar, out in droves on the farms once again. And it's going to be 2 Magyar Hussar against 3 Trebs. And it's not going to be even a contest. Tasty doing a better job of holding over here than I would have thought. But still in dire straits. Too much of our military pop in the eco. Not enough on the front lines. And it's not going to matter if Tasty is raiding if it doesn't kill Tomo when Tomo's shoving straight down your throat. I teched murder holes. That had to be a misclick. Yeah, Tasty, you got murder holes. You're a professional. Professional 1100 player. Man, I love the number of traps from Tomo. I despise the fact that Tasty doesn't have like one latest. Just shift clicked on all these traps, but I understand there's a lot going on. And part of the problem is now Tasty has nothing rating. Tomo is replacing the Vils, but Tomo was able to get so much pressure. And when this monastery goes down, that's going to be all of Tomo's gold econ on the floor. And then the Trebs go down. I'd love to see another monastery. I'd love to see a couple monks. Perfect. We're grabbing those relics, bringing them back. And Tasty is going to ebb this flow back outside his base. Trying to find some semblance of control, some semblance of stability. But the reinforcements just keep dying the second they're born. Popping out, running forward, getting sniped. I agree, Tasty. I really like the way that Tomo pushes. It's very deliberate and it's very methodical. When he takes ground, he doesn't tend to lose it unless he's sort of like kiting for a fight. But like all this land, all these buildings he took out with those Trebs, if he didn't lose the Trebs, he probably would have just kept on going. Which is why I was so worried about Tasty not diving those Trebs. And it's going to be another win for Tomo here. Insane game here. I think Tasty had a really good push going. The biggest issue for me was just how many times we were continuously fighting with so much idle military within 50 tiles of the fight that just weren't fighting. And that's not a res thing. It's not a knowledge thing. It's mostly just a either we don't have a select all military hotkey, or not realizing that we had as much as we did and needed to group up. But other than that, Tomo did a really good job of holding, getting a massive trebs, keeping the CA bunch alive as much as possible, and constantly making sure that we had enough units to meet wall for the CA, no matter how many E-Skirm were on the field. Really well played from Tomo, but Tasty did not look bad this game by any means. There were multiple points where it could have gone either way. Really close, KD. Army high in the favor of Tomo. And look at that. The res collected, actually, the gap was closing. Maybe due to the relic gold. Only 3k more res collected for Tasty, or for Tomo over Tasty here. Much faster imp time for Tasty, which is why I favored his position so much early on. Really good game. Let's go ahead and jump into game 4. I don't know. I would love to replay the game from my forward position, but instead latest I go Paladin. Maybe I would win that way, but I was just afraid that the Paladin too expensive and too slow to tech. I think the best way to think about that, if you're thinking, man, I don't know if I should switch or not. If you have a situation where you're already getting pushed back, you might as well try. If you have a situation where you feel like you have a better unit, but you really don't know, and that unit is Paladin, I can understand not wanting to invest that much just to find out if it's going to be more effective. Personally, I would have kept going latest, and I would have gone even harder into latest than you did, and maybe even done a little bit of raiding with the latest. They do so much damage. It's insane, and because it's base damage, they can do a lot of damage to buildings if you get a couple of them bunched up. They've got good HP, they've got good Pierce Armor. You can take out TCs with latest. I might be crazy, but that's how I would have played it, instead of the Wing to SAR switch. Especially since you had so much gold when you made the switch to Wing to SAR. You got the tech way earlier than you started making them, but even when you started making them, you still had so much gold. Let me read this text from my wife super quickly, and then we will get into game 4. Alrighty. Let's jump into game 4. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Outcrop. The closest thing to Arabia you'll see in a tourney like this. We've got in the pink, on the Berbers, one of my favorite civs, a Tasty. And in the red, on the Persians, a civ I like even more than Berbers, we've got Tomo. Now, one thing I will say, when you're looking at a situation where it could be a camel mirror match, things like bonuses can really come into play. And the two things we want to take into account are early castle age, where stable units become 15% cheaper for Berbers, and late imp, when camels get to regenerate. On the flip side of that, though, the Persians gonna have great eco with the faster working town centers, but more specifically, they get access to Parthian tactics early. Not going to help camels. But they do get Savar, which now that I think about it, they might still get countered by camel archers. So regular camels might still be better here, and even then, I think what I've just determined through this little bit of talking to myself is that I prefer the Berbers in this matchup, because they just go cheap camels and camel archers, or like Genitors and camels, and like what do you make as Persians? Not to mention, Persians don't get Arb. They do get trash bows, but like Arb is usually one of the counters to camel archers, I feel like. Unless I'm crazy. Although, who knows? We might just see Skirm again. Let's take a look at how easy it is to wall here. So you've got a 1 tile for Tomo in the back, a 2 tile on the side. Already going to start closing up that front gap. Yeah, this is pretty good walling here for Tomo. Or, sorry, pretty easy walling here for Tomo. Hopefully he scouts this. And then on the flip side... Okay, we're good on this side for Tasty. Tasty's got a smaller base here. If we wall here, it can be way bigger. But Tasty, in my opinion, has the easier to wall map. Can have quite a few short walls here if he wants to. Both players definitely wallable though. I just think Tomo has bigger gaps to fill. Yes, Paolo would have been way better, but Latest is so cool on site. Agreed. The coolness factor played a huge part. Oh, yeah. The cooler your opponent's unit is, the more you respect it. Another banger game incoming. I'm so excited right now. This has been such a good set. And anyone who hasn't seen the last couple of games is just going to see 0-3 and be like, oh, it's a wash. But no, this has been super close every single game, and it's come down every game to like one pivotal moment where a really good decision has been made by Tomo, or alternatively Tasty has like maybe doubted the tech switch, or just not committed hard enough, in my opinion, and Tomo was able to eke out that little bit of a coin flip into an advantage. We'll see how things go here in game 4. Beetle is coming in for Tasty. It's coming in for Tomo. It's literally 2 seconds apart. So this is the closest up times we have seen. Neither player's super posturing like they're going to be aggressive. Well, I say that as the barracks goes down for Tasty. But honestly, if Tomo's able to get the rest of these walls up, he only needs 1, 2, and then this gap right here. And he can be full walled, which means if Tasty does go scouts, not going to be very effective at all. Tasty, on the other hand, is going to start getting walls up, but they're so much later, and the uptimes are so comparable, that unless Tasty's going to go men-at-arms to get forward pressure, I really want to see Tasty walling up a little bit faster here, because I think scouts are pretty meta on this map. Is that still true? Are scouts still meta on this map? Yeah, that's a good point, Otter. If it's that close every fight, then having that better unit would make sense. The thing is, I don't think that Tasty knew during the set 100% if Paladin was the better unit or not. And when you aren't 100% sure, it can feel like a waste to like... Because Paladin is just such an expensive upgrade to click. If you click it, hoping that it's better, and then it's not, you're basically signing your death sentence when you could have had 10 more latest, you know? Double Bit Axe and Horse Collar coming in for Tasty. Tasty going to be getting more walls up. Going to be Spearman for Tasty on the defensive. Okay. I love that. Especially considering it is taking us longer to get walls up. We're apprehensive of the scout play from the Persians. We're ready for it. Getting the spear out. Get a couple scouts of our own. Takes forever as well. Elite latest is quicker. That is true. It's so much faster to click elite and make sure you have your blacksmith upgrades. Um, Especially when you already have 4 relics. Tasty having 4 relics was so good because it meant that he was at full power the whole time until that monastery went down. Okay, both players on scouts. Tomo did not see Tasty, but Tasty might have seen something. No, neither of the players seeing anything. And Tasty is able to wall before Tomo's scouts get here. Impressive. Tasty having no idea where to go to Tomo's base. Tomo having more of an idea, but also going to discover that it's full walled. And I do hope neither of these players continue to add scouts once they see their opponent's full walled. You see your opponent's full walled on a map like this, I think your best course of action is either be the one to try and keep going, or be the one to bring your military home. But either way, you're both looking at castle now, you know? You can spend so much time in feudal making scouts, hitting things that are just getting walled behind, that it's honestly, in my opinion, just the better move to look for castle. Gonna be a good engagement here for Tasty. Gonna be able to knock those scouts off the gate, pushing them back. But that is a 5th scout for Tasty added. Wheelbarrow and a 6th scout for Tasty, which means Tomo could have a super advantageous uptime. The problem with that is if Tasty invests a ton into scouts and Tomo gets to castle first, it takes like, what, 2 camels, 3 camels to clear 10 feudal scouts, especially if they don't have upgrades. Tasty did great to have that lead that he had when reaching Imp. Yeah, I agree. Agreed. Scouts are going to be looking for any sort of damage on the front side for Tasty. It's going to be a blacksmith behind the walls for Tomo. So I think Tomo is going to be looking to click Castle Age, doing exactly what I would have done as soon as I saw my opponent full walled with scouts on the map. I don't even think you need to repair here. I think you just wall behind. Yeah, it's beautiful. Sure, it costs you 50 wood, but it's 50 wood. You're going to castle, baby. Castle is in for Tomo. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Tasty still needs 100 food and 100 gold. If we didn't make the 2 extra scouts, we'd have it, I think. Minus the gold, obviously. The last 2 scouts were overcommitment. Agreed. And they're going to be the difference between clicking up comparably and clicking up like a minute and a half after. And I know it sounds like not a lot, but like that's enough to get techs, that's enough to get knights, that's enough to get camels out. And then basically Tasty just has to be afraid until he also gets his own out. And then Tomo has the numbers advantage. Yeah, literally a minute 10 seconds slower for Tasty to castle because of the extra scouts. Two ranges? Knights, camels, don't you know us by now? It's going to be CA. You're right. I'm sorry. I need to learn faster than this. Do Persians have any bonuses? I mean, you can research Parthian tactics, but is that really that helpful right now? I don't think so. But they are just a good unit from what I've learned today. Fletching bloodlines makes sense. And we see 2 range CA and a second TC from Tomo. Tasty is still going to be 50 seconds away from castle and worried about whatever Tomo is going to have coming out. Bodkin coming in now for Tomo. And the Persians do not get Bracer. So Tomo is going to be at basically max strength on the CA in Castle Age with the ability to full tech minus chemistry and heavy CA. Archer Armor comes in for Tasty right before Castle Age comes in. 2 ranges for Tasty as well, and there's going to be CA for Tasty as well. Second TC goes down for Tasty in the back. But gonna get both eco upgrades for Tasty here early in the Castle Age. Couple of those going on an excursion with the CA and the scouts chilling nearby for any sort of military support. Light cab for Tasty here in the Castle Age. Interesting. Probably because of the number of scouts we already have, and because they aren't that bad into CA. Has Tasty has not scouted the CA or the archery ranges. Okay. Oh my goodness, I just got such a good neck crack. Oh man. What do we think about Genitors? Are Genitors good against CA? Is it good to mix a couple in as Berbers in early Castle, or is it better to just go full CA? I'm not sure how good Genitors are in comparison to like a Skirmisher. I don't know if they're like especially squishy. They should be goated, but less threat to Vills. Makes sense. My plan was to go CA until I know that he goes CA, then Genitor. Okay, so Genitor is the right play, just we haven't seen the CA. Makes perfect sense. Love that both these players are getting a TC on the outside. Love that they're not all the way in the corner. We are trying to get a little bit of map presence. Both players also bringing their military with their outside TCs. Really, really good habits to be in. The CA potentially gonna get seen here. And also potential to deny the TC. They're gonna keep on heading forward. No sweat today for Tasty. Gonna be chilling like a villain. Tasty adding more CA now. Having more military on the map. There is no stone, yeah. That's one of the things about this map. Literally no stone in your starting base, so if you want a castle, you gotta go out. And it seems both players gonna be desperate to get a castle, but I think for different reasons. And now we've seen the CA, and Tasty is gonna go ahead and commit to Genitors. Beautiful. I'm so excited. Pretty big Vil lead? That is true. Not that much idle time. That's mostly just Tomo's faster castle and Persian TC bonus. Actually, that's all Tomo's faster castle and Persian TC bonus. Finally, janitors coming to sweep up the horse dung of these CA. It's a pincer. So let's take a look at these Genitor. They've still got 5 Pierce Armor, despite the fact that they're on a horse. And they do have 4 bonus damage still. Against Cav. It could still be okay, because Tomo has no army. That is true, but Tomo is going to have a castle first. Good rating here. Really good blocking in on the Bills there. The light cav going to be able to tank all the TC fire. And Tasty looking to try and even up the Vil count here just a little bit. CA going to come clean up as many of these light cav as they can. It's going to be one. E-Skirm and Armor coming in for Tomo. Okay. Kind of a silly question. In a Skirm war, is it better or worse to go Genitors against Skirms if you have to, like, go for Skirm war? Do E-Skirms have, like, more HP or anything? Or is it a situation where it's, like, being able to micro is more important than stats? Where the Genitors are just so much faster than E-Skirm? Biscuits was Conqueror. This is indeed General. All those bracket names sound so cool and awesome. I just assume every bracket is 2K. Also, good morning, Biscuits. It's good to see you. I hope you're good. E-Skirm gonna be balling up inside the archery ranges for Tomo. Tomo just doesn't have the stone for a castle. And is being denied the stone. And so Tasty is gonna be the first one to be able to get a castle up. And the question is, where's it gonna go? Ballistics in for Tasty now. And he has no market. Pro gaming move. All this gold and not a market. All this food and not a market in sight. Sheesh. Tomo hoarding like me right now. It's actually a decent spot for Tasty if you can continue to lay into the late game. True. It will reach 3K. It has reached 3K. I literally can't judge. Because I've had 10K wood in the bank when I lost a game before. So, no excuses for me. That's okay, Tomo. We don't have to talk about your eco balance. You don't want to talk about it? We won't talk about it. Look at these E-Skirms. Oh yeah, Otter? Who says I'm not 1950? On my secret off-stream, no one's ever seen it before account, I'm 2500. Sicilians only. Playing against Hera. Okay, I'm interested to see how these E-Skirms do. Genuinely. Let's compare them to the Genitor. 35 HP, 6 Pierce Armor, 5 Attack. Twice the HP. Because they get bloodlines. Genitors are so much better. Genitors are goated. Genitors are goated. Oh my goodness, yeah, Genitor is so much better. Aim coming in for both players now. It's just over a minute slower for Tasty, though. Tomo gonna be getting a 4th TC down. 2 castles for Tasty on this southern side. So Tomo, you want to explain yourself, or do we want to talk about this, or was there an agreement of some kind? Did we just not feel like it? Are we looking here? I think we're looking here, probably. If I had to guess. Now it's going to be trying to clean up the light cav, as the light cav are just going to be getting hits off on the skirms. Skirm's going to attempt to take down as many of the Genitors as possible. The numbers are in Tomo's favor. Even though the skirms have half the HP of a Genitor, having twice the number of projectiles is a boon for Tomo. Imp is in for Tomo. And it's going to be Cavalier and Chain Barding. A 5th TC for Tasty over here on the left side of the map. First castle for Tomo. Going to be going on this top side. Ring on the way for Tasty. We're going to see another engagement between the skirms and the Genitors. These knights going to try to get in front here. Many of the Genitors getting sniped down. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Even though the Genitor have a lot of health, when you've got a certain number of units, honestly, the number of projectiles matters way more than the amount of health on each individual unit. Then again, a little bit of siege from Tasty. But then we got the Cavalier. I'm honestly really liking Tomo's position. These camels are a fantastic and well-timed switch from Tasty. And I'm certain it was done before we even saw the Cavalier. Oh my goodness, Heavy Camel and Savar both coming in for Tomo. We don't even have any camels, and we're getting Heavy Camel for Tomo. Crazy that we had the res for both, first of all. Cool that we get to see both clicked at the same time. And I think if we take this fight here, the camels definitely need to be on the Cavalier and not on the skirm. You really want to be dealing with those Cavalier first here. And the Cavalier are going to get mopped up. A couple of these skirms getting chased down, but the heavy camels are out for the Persian player now. Savar is still 50 seconds away, and honestly, after seeing all my Cavalier go down, I cancel Savar. And you're going to think I'm crazy. You're going to be like, what? You're an idiot, and that's why you're bad at the game, because you're thinking Savar counter this. But the thing is, you're just giving him every reason to go cheap camels. Right? Cheap camels that eventually will regenerate. Am I the one who's tripping? I just don't think going full teching into Savar, I mean, you just go heavy camel E-skirm, and that's really your best way to deal with this. First time seeing that castle. I think I missed something, but that's okay. Elite Camel Archer going to come in. Casbah coming in. And Camel Archer goes crazy here. Minus the fact that there's still E-skirm. The Camel Archer are going to do better against Savar and Heavy Camel. And this is looking really good for Tasty. We've taken really good fights. Taken favorable trades. Getting all the techs. Soon going to be regenning on these Heavy Camel. I would say the momentum is in Tasty's favor. Minus the fact that I think map control is pretty even. As far as where each player is able to take resources. I mean, against camels, I'd still play cheap camels. I don't have helps. Right. I just don't think... Because, if I'm not mistaken, Savar are more expensive than Heavy Camel. So you're taking an even less favorable trade if you're fighting camels with Savar rather than camels with camels. Yeah, your camels are more expensive as Persians, but at the very least, your camels will counter. Whereas Savar just... And maybe I'm wrong, get wrecked. Especially when they just outprice the camels by so much. Maybe I don't know the price of a camel. Second attack coming in for Krusty. What? Second attack coming in for Tasty. Tasty getting a good raid here. I don't love the camels sitting on the buildings, especially when we got camels on our ranged units. We need to be pulling over. I'm not sure where we're looking. Maybe Tasty is worried about these vills jumping out and finishing the castle, but I would worry more about winning the fight first. But it seems like he's going to win anyways. And the castle is going to go up for Tasty. The Genitors hold. And it's another great trade for Tasty, despite the fact that Tomo had a good engagement there, and Tasty wasn't fighting with all of his units. It's going to be Hussar for Tasty. They're going to be super cheap, 20% cheaper, plus 3,000 food, equals we're about to see so many Hussar on the map. Tasty, I'm also not trying to argue just to argue. I try to learn things from better players when I cast them. So if I ask a question or if I say something, I'm not like trying to be like, I'm right. It's more like, that's how my brain works, and I'd love to learn more. You know what I mean? This is going to be a long game. Biscuits, where do you have to be? That sounded way ruder than I meant it. I meant it more like, what's wrong with that? But it sounds more like you have no life. And that's not at all what I meant. More defensive castles going up for Tomo, as Tasty is the first one to Trebs. No, just the first one to Treb. Citadel's coming in for the Persian player. Guild's coming in for Tasty. He's like, I got all this res and nothing to do with it. Don't think you've ever seen Elite Genitor teched. I don't think it's been teched either. Where can I see that? Can I see that? I don't think I can. Almost should not start douching with the stone. Is this castle being built with one bill? I just realized that. Tomo gonna be able to counter Treb this one Treb. Uncertain where Tasty's other Trebs are. Tons of camel archers in the queue. So we're basically going to take this fight, even though it's unfavorable, so that we can make more camel archers on this side for the push, I'm assuming. Not 100% on that, but seems like that might be... No, we're going to make a bunch of Hussar. But we're in, so we can raid with the Hussar. So honestly, it's really good. Where are the Hussar producing from? Kind of far away. Maybe grab one of these villas. Make a couple stables here. Take a look at vision. Really good vision for Tasty. And the camel archers are doing decent here. That Savar lived much longer than I thought it would against those camel archers. And they are elite camel archers, so they have full bonus damage. Remind me what Royal Heirs does. Oh, sorry. That's not here. That's a different civ entirely. I was just confused. Savar going to be cleaning up really well here, and I think I might have been wrong. I'm willing to eat my words. These Savar are doing way better than I thought, and not to mention, even if they do suffer against the camel archers, they are going to be able to tank so much TC and castle fire. And maybe that's what we need right now. The Halbin Savar combo going to be really strong for Tomo, it looks like. But we are getting raided on the backside here, so sort of a double-edged sword. Castle gonna be under Treb fire, and it's getting Treb downhill. But I think, once again, Tasty, too much of our military is far away from where the snowbally push is. And Tomo is going to be able to threaten so much more if he keeps pushing with this and these. rather than just these guys. That being said, you have to do something. You have to try something. You can't just sit and wait for him to push in your eco and take bad fights. So many camel archers in the queue. Or sorry, we have tons of camel archers. Just none of them are at home to defend. We've got a couple. Yeah, I was looking at the camel archers, and then I saw the royal heirs thing, and it said -3. And I was like, what is royal heirs? And I remembered that it's the Ethiopian unique tech. It's kind of awkward to deal with Halb Savar, since everything that kills the Halbs dies to Savar. Not everything. I said that and then I couldn't think of anything, so I'm gonna take that back and act like I never said it. Another defensive castle for Tomo here, but I mean it's gonna be helpful, especially if we're dealing with raids on the backside. Tasty gonna be getting a bit of a push down the center here. And I was poo-pooing the camel archers being forward, but part of that's because I didn't foresee Tomo taking so long to push in from the side here. And maybe it's because Tomo lost more units than he was expecting to. No Boloretas, as I found out today. This push has been really good. Correct. Tasty has gotten a lot of space with this push. He's been able to take out multiple castles, mass plenty of camel archers. And honestly, I think the camel archers can stop this push. I don't think there's enough military here for Tomo. And there are enough camels. And the other thing is these camel archers are going to heal. So as long as you can keep the majority of the mass alive, even if they take a little damage, it's really not going to be no thing. And of course, the camel archers are going to clean up the Hal, but the castle will still go down. Gonna lose the trebs, so we don't pack up. We're just gonna go ahead and try and snipe the market. Another defensive castle behind, because we know we're gonna clean up the trebs. And this is really good from Tasty. Tasty able to get so much pressure on the front side, get some raids in, and then come back and stop Tomo. I thought Tomo had the steamroller running, but we lost so much steam here for some reason. I'm not 100% sure what happened. Gonna be a castle in the center here for Tomo, with Savar to defend. I was very confused in what Umbran Cup to make, and I get so lost with civs that don't have bracer. I feel you. I think the biggest issue here is that camel archers are just so good when you get this many of them. Like, besides scorpions, I don't think even Savar, like, take good fights with the camel archers. I think they just are tanky enough to not die immediately, which does make them better than other units. They don't feel good. It feels like rubbing sandpaper together. Like, things are happening, but none of it is enjoyable, and you feel like you're losing with every stroke. What do Persians do versus Mapuche? I wasn't sure after the game, to be honest. Otter, I don't think you're talking to me, so I'm not going to respond to that. But you can keep talking about whatever you're talking about. A good mass of Savar here for Tomo. He's still got plenty of res with all this map control on the left side. It is kind of funny to mine when there's a BBC and a siege workshop right here. It's even funnier when we see it. I think I'd love to see like a Tomo castle up here somewhere to give him a bit of a foothold, maybe to stress Tasty out a bit. But I understand why we're not seeing that. Tasty going to be adding in BBC. And 5 Trebs in the queue. Love to see it. I think Tasty might have survived long enough. And if we can keep the Camel Archer numbers high, there's a world where Tasty wins this one. Alright, let's see how these Savar do. It's more Savar against less Camel Archers. He deletes the barracks, knowing he doesn't want to get stuck in that small corridor. Going to bring over the camels to be able to tank. And that is going to be enough, I think, of a meat shield for the Camel Archers to be able to clean up as many of these Savar as possible. The camels are going down. We're microing away. The Savar are split up. And I think that was a mistake, because we're going to be able to clean them up in small batches now. We literally had 20 more Savar. And Tasty has taken a really good engagement here. We regrouped. But most of the Savar in that first group are gone now. And it evens up the numbers so much. We lost 15 camels. 13 camel archers for Tasty in that fight. But we lost 33 Savar for Tomo. So it's a more value-packed trade for Tasty, as we see Tasty going for another one. Camels in front. CA going to be just absolutely chewing through whatever they can get their hands on. And this is just going to be devastating. If Tasty clears this, Tomo's going to have almost nothing to defend against this push. And between the castle and the number of long-range siege on the board, I think this is going to be a Tasty game. We lost so much in res there, and we have so much in the bank for Tasty. Even though Tomo is not dead by any means, these good trades for Tasty are slowly bleeding him dry. Should have taken half those Savar and just ran into Tasty's eco. That's a great idea, Rune. I love that idea, and I wish I had seen it. Also, hi, Rune. Good morning. How are you? Welcome to the stream. Enjoy the chat. Can't beat Berber anymore. And that's kind of what I was thinking is, as long as we can keep the numbers up, we just regen, and then we reinforce. And if you got a stack of Camel Archers and 7 Trebs, there's nothing you can't do with enough confidence. Good defensive castles from Tasty, just to try and staunch any sort of flow of raiding units. They aren't going to do anything against the Savar, but the Savar haven't been used to raid yet. It's pretty hard though, even if you raid at this point, you have to do it with 10 times over to get real damage without a big push. True. I think the Savar damage might, like, you got Savar pretty quickly into Imp, if I'm not mistaken. And I think right when we kind of open this side with the Trebs, then we think, okay, drop a stable and just start slowly streaming Savar onto the wood line, onto the farms, you know. Obviously not now. You have to defend now. $20K food in the bank kind of says, raid me all you want. True. That is true. It's like taxing a billionaire. 20K. He's like, what? I make that in an hour. Off of interest. Oh, you killed 10 bills? Let me replace him real quick. That's how Tasty is. Really good micro here from Tasty. It's exactly what you need. Gonna come back to the castle. And as long as we don't let Halb just free hit us, this should be another cleanup for Tasty. That corridor gonna be putting in work. There's potential for Tomo to take out all of Tasty's Trebs here. But it may not matter if Tomo again doesn't have any units at the end of this fight. A lot of the Camel Archers did go down. And the castle is going to go down. So Tasty in a much less commanding position than he was just a moment ago. Really good engagement by Tomo. Really good way to force down this castle. Now, Tasty, if you're hurting for gold, I'm sure you can sell some food. Oh, you are. Perfect. Reinforcing on the other side so that we can push him off of gold and stone. I say as if there's any gold and stone left on the map. I don't think there's been too much market abuse this game. Yeah, Tasty got guilds really early in Imp. Oh, I lied. There's so much stone and gold still on the map. It's just on Tasty's side. Sniping the monk who's trying to bring the relic back. 340 is more than guilds, though? I have no idea. This is so brutal to try and raid this setup, too. Purple everywhere. It was a lot more even map control for a while. And then Tasty was able to just absolutely clear all this out. And clear this out. Previously, it was like Tomo had all of this. And then Tasty had all of this. It's been majority Tasty getting the better trades and the better pushes that has resulted in Tasty having better map control and presence. Click on a market. I've done it. Eastcarm gonna trickle in here. Light Cav gonna look for an engagement on the side. The Halb really should be pathing to the other side of the Camel Archer if possible. Eco KD looks sick. Oh, oh my goodness. Tasty. That is that is the most impressive Eco KD I think I've ever seen. Not even that's at least the most like askew. And oh my goodness, so many Camel Archers. And even though Tomo has more military, the question is, are we going to be able to use it all at the same time? So much kiting from Tasty. Eastcarm gonna be able to snipe one camel at a time. And the problem is, if we don't one-shot them, and they can pull away, they can just heal up for free. And look at this. Camel Archer is going to be doing enough damage to kill multiple skirms per volley, not having to focus fire down one at a time. Camels and light cav, sorry, Hussar for Tasty. Still producing, reinforcing. And the only thing on this field for Tomo right now are the E-Skirm. There's a couple of Hal, but not much. Mostly just these E-Skirm. And again, Tomo's not in a bad position. He's just desperately making whatever he can. And Tasty is kind of just chilling, it seems. I would love to see Tasty get a couple of relics in. Okay, we got these three. So we just haven't noticed this one, but that's okay. I also wish Tasty would bring more trebs at a time, but I know he's housed. It's just, if you only bring a couple trebs, you give your opponent so much time to respond. Whereas if you bring like 11 trebs, you can just one-shot everything, and then they have no time to repair, no time to respond. They don't have time to snipe your trebs because you unpack, one fire, repack, no more castle. And I sound crazy, but when you're this late in the game and you have this much of a commanding army, you should be going for the Uber Blitzkrieg. Give me 8 trebs and I'll one-shot your castle. Because you can't, right? You can trade 5 Hazar slot for 5 more trebs, and this push goes twice as fast. You know, Tomo, I did forget that you were completely off gold, and that does make this position a lot less neutral and a lot more painful for you. You're right. I apologize. Smart, Tomo. I had somebody else say that in another set, and I was like, honestly, that's not a bad idea. Because when you know that you could potentially end up playing 7 games, wearing out your opponent to make him get 1 win, and then he has to play with the stress of, okay, literally any of these games, if Tomo wins, I lose everything. Whereas Tasty straight up has to win 4 games in a row after multiple hour-long in-game time games. And yeah, it really does. Like, if Tomo's turned his brain off and is just like spamming and like in rest mode while Tasty is like trying to eke out every advantage and trying to get a good push, it truly does turn into a situation where Tomo's already sort of mentally preparing for the next game while Tasty's just having to finish this one. Tomo is definitely looking way more dead now. Not that he's unsafe, it's just mostly the only reason Tasty can't just push in and kill everything is due to the fact that we don't have all our traps here and we're not just steamrolling our way through the base. Like, honestly, you got all your military here, set up all your traps here, one-shot all these buildings, move forward. Set up all your traps here, keep your military here, one-shot all the buildings, move forward. That's how you finish out games like this. Especially if you want them done fast. The last thing you want to do is fiddle around on the edges and not commit or like keep taking little fights. Like, obviously you'll win eventually. But now that you realize he's trying to wear you out, you want to do the opposite and say, okay, I need to kill. That's exactly my point. Oh, sorry, Tasty. I didn't realize you were the one talking. You also got some rest. I know I didn't have to do too much. And maybe that's why it's taking you so long to kill, is because you have also entered rest mode. You're also considering the fact that, okay, we got another game coming. And there we go. Tasty takes the win. Look at that Eco KD. That's one for the history books, I think. Holy cow. Very well played. Tasty, really good job getting to the late game there. Loved the init comp. Tomo, totally understand. Tough matchup, and I think there were just a couple of times where Tasty took just a little bit too much military from you, and you committed a little too hard to the fight. And every time you did that, it just chipped away at the little bit of resources you had compared to Tasty. You didn't literally collect a ton, well, 23k less resources, but, wait, is that math? Yes. That is a lot less resources. It may not seem like it because it's pretty close, but that's only because the ratio is so big. Relic Gold, maybe not playing too much of a part, but definitely losing the Relic hurt Tomo, I think. Uptime's all pretty comparable, about within a minute of each other, if not sooner. And here's that APM chart for you. You both said you were just chilling at the end, and yet your APMs on average were higher at the end of the game than at the start of the game. Maybe that's just because there are more actions to take, not necessarily that you're playing faster, but it is funny to be like, oh, we were both in chill mode, 70 actions per minute. I'm just chilling, hand going crazy on the Alt TC button. Already. 14k gold more. Yeah, that's the really big kicker, Tasty. Alrighty. Let's jump into game 5. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to game 5 of this Specialist Cup cast. We have in the pink, on the Gajaras, Hasty, and in the red, on the Maya, Tomo. And Tomo gonna go ahead and immediately get Loom because we are on the Maya. Maya start with less food, but an extra Vil. So you actually can get Loom. And then I think it just makes you, what, even on Vil count? If I'm not mistaken. But that also gives you just that little bit of time to start getting those Vils, collecting food, to get to where you can constantly produce. And it is 4 seconds idle TC time for Tomo. This map has workshops on it, which I'm guessing is why we went Maya, to have that extra Vil. Also, probably why we went Loom. Again, because we're going to send the Vil forward. And from my understanding, these workshops are worth about 3 Vils worth of res. Meaning, having both of these for Tomo, let's just see how quickly the res collected. And look at that. The res collected for Tomo jumped up. And it's going to only continue to creep into a lead as this game goes on, if Tasty doesn't contest at all. And I think, I'm not sure if it's smart to contest or to not contest. You obviously don't at this point. But I wonder if Tasty just didn't know, or maybe if Tasty just didn't care to contest early. I think Eagle Scout's definitely stronger than the Camel Scout. So there's not much you can do about that. Yeah, Eagle so much stronger than the Camel Scout. Going to be 4 attack versus 2 attack. Camel Scout does have more HP, but I don't think it would be enough. Do Eagles have no cavalry bonus yet? Okay, cool. The Camel Scout is a good Dark Age unit. Don't lie to me, biscuits. We got Loom because we're Maya, but that is probably why the pick. Yes, yeah. Agreed. It's good versus Scout. It's bad versus Eagle Scout. But I see what you're saying. Maybe you're saying Gajaras was picked because it has a good matchup against a normal Scout. But I literally think the Vil Loom wins that. Yeah, because the Camel Scout literally does 1 damage to Vils with Loom. It narrowly beat Scout. I don't know, I'm trying to give Tasty some credit. I think the credit that we give Tasty here is the fact that Tasty has a lot of hurtables. Almost, all of the ones that can fit in this mill. Tasty says don't. Tasty, very genuinely, did you know about the workshops? No judgment. I learned about them today. So, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you didn't. It's the finals of the tournament, so I assume maybe you would. The mill does not contest 2 workshops. Yeah, but it's not nothing. It's still a trickle of food while Tomo's getting a trickle of food. The problem is Tomo does have 400 more resources at 6.5 minutes due to having the 2 workshops. To the point that Tomo has already clicked Feudal and is going to be getting so many more resources on the way to Feudal here. Yes, I got one of them at the start of the game. Okay. So you had one at the start, and then it got taken from you. Understood. Sorry I missed that. Thank you for being willing to answer. Feudal coming in for both players now. It's not that far behind for Tasty, despite not getting the workshops. It's going to be 40 seconds faster for Tomo. And I am interested to see what kind of feudal aggression we're going to see from Tomo. Because I think on this map, especially with the workshops, you have to go for feudal aggression. It's going to be men-at-arms once again. It was always going to be Maya or Goth if available. Is that just because of how strong men-at-arms are now? Or is it because you have to contest and they're just like the easiest unit to get more of because you can make them on the way to feudal? I'm trying to figure out the reasoning for Maya or Goths on this map. I'm assuming it's just infantry strong things. I don't think I said that right. I did say, I ended stream earlier today and said I was going to take a nap. And instead of taking a nap, I spent time with my dad, drank a coffee, and then came back to cast more. So I'm probably just tired. But we will finish this set. No excuses. Militia going to be out on the map to deal with the Camel Scout. Never mind. We've decided the workshop is not worth it. We're going to try and go forward, get some Vil kills here. Men-at-Arms 35 seconds away now. Tasty getting double Bidex. Archer's going to be able to come out pretty quickly in response to these Men-at-Arms. So Tomo's really going to want to get damage quick. And that Eagle Scout going to have two different advantages. One, blocking the house wall. Oh my goodness. And Tasty determining that there's just not going to be any way to come back. Tomo had workshops for so long, had the uptime, had the damage. Just seeing the writing on the wall, and Tasty is going to call it. Congratulations, Tomo, on the win. It was a little bit of a Civ win, but it also was like I don't think Tasty FFs if that house goes down. You know, if we're able to get house walls up, if we're able to quick wall, if we're able to get archers out, I think it's fine. But just, we know you're in game 5 and you're tired and you miss the quick wall, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna slog through to just lose a game that I started on the back foot, you know? Totally understand. GG to both players. It was really good to watch you. Good to meet you both. Hi, Tomo and Tasty. I'm Tea Time. Thank you for letting me cast your set. It was really fun. Any notes for me or anything you guys want to say now that the set is over? While I find someone for us to raid, because I am so tired. GG's to everyone who stuck around for the cast. I think you're correct, Tomo. I think that there was definitely a bit of an early call, but there is something respectable about, like, if you know or if you feel like you don't have the energy or the ability, and it's been 5 games, and you know that if you lose this game, like, it's over. I can understand the mentality of, you know what, let's both, you know, get home a little early from work, you know? Alright, we're gonna raid into What's the Deal? I want to read Tasty's message super quickly. To be honest, it is just such a stupid map to be included in a tournament. I always would ban it first, but I played so bad on Desert Void throughout the tournament, I let it slip through in hopes he wouldn't pick it. I was so annoyed to play it, and it was easily tiltable on it. That I understand. And then on top of that, getting the Civ, that's hard to deal with. And on top of that, having to absolutely slog through every game, because the first 4 games, I'm pretty sure all of them went like super late, if I'm not mistaken. But no, I totally get the feeling, Tasty. I have some maps where if I get super hard contested early, I'm just like, man, I don't think I can even. I maybe could come back here, but I don't think it's even worth my time because it's not going to be fun, you know? Alrighty. GG's, everybody. We're rating. See you later.
Tanto sogno. Muratori.